The Lisheng mountain is cloaked in the stillness of night, as a gentle moon casts its glow like a veil of water. An archaeologist stands at the excavation site of the Terracotta Army. The beam of his flashlight dances among the countless terracotta figures, each one a silent sentinel of an ancient era. Suddenly, his eyes lock onto a peculiar weapon grasped in the hand of a single figure. At first glance, it appears to be an ordinary bronze weapon, but upon closer inspection, the craftsmanship details are nothing short of extraordinary, far exceeding what one would expect from its time. This is merely a fleeting glimpse into the world of the Terracotta Army. In the vast expanse of the pit, over 8,000 terracotta figures stand in formation, as if ready to march into battle at a moment's notice. Their very presence is a testament to the power and grandeur of an empire long past, a sight that never fails to leave modern-day onlookers in awe. Beneath their orderly arrangement, there seems to lie a sophisticated feng shui system. But what does it signify? Is it a profound expression of the ancients' reverence for the cosmic order, or could there be hidden motives yet to be uncovered? And then there are the technological marvels that have left contemporary experts scratching their heads. How on earth did these ancient artisans, over 2,000 years ago, manage to create such advanced and seemingly futuristic features? One spring day in 1974, in a village of Lingtong County, Shanxi Province, a villager was going about his normal routine of digging a well on his land to get water. All of a sudden, there was a dull thud. It felt like his hoe had hit something hard and foreign. Puzzled, the villager stopped what he was doing and bent down to take a look. When his eyes landed on the object in the soil, he gasped in shock. It was a terracotta human head. Caught completely off guard, the villager's heart skipped a beat. He thought it was extremely unlucky to dig up a human head, and a chill ran down his spine. No one could have predicted that this seemingly ordinary strike of the hoe would uncover the head of the Terracotta Army of Emperor Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum, which is not only known as the 8th wonder of the world, but also ranks among the top 10 rare treasures in world tombs, stunning the entire world. Emperor Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum is incredibly vast. It is divided into the mausoleum area and the burial area, covering a total area of 56.25 square kilometers, which is a whopping 78 times the size of the Forbidden City. In 247 BC, when Yingzheng was just 13 years old and had newly ascended the throne, he initiated the construction of this mausoleum. This massive project took a staggering 39 years to complete. More than 800,000 people were involved in the building process, and it wasn't until the second year after Emperor Qin Shi Huang's death that the project was finally wrapped up. This gives you an idea of just how difficult and large-scale this undertaking was. As recorded in records of the Grand Historian, the basic annals of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, mercury was used to simulate the rivers, lakes, and seas, with mechanical devices making them flow. Above, there were depictions of astronomy, and below, representations of geography. Candles were made from the fat of mermaids, intended to burn for a long time without extinguishing. Experts speculate that this passage describes how Emperor Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum used mercury to imitate the geographical features of the Chinese land. The ceiling of the tomb chamber was engraved with images of the sun, moon, and stars, symbolizing that even in death, Emperor Qin Shi Huang could still observe the heavens above and survey the earth below, blessing the Qin dynasty to thrive for generations. This mysterious underground palace, carrying the might and dreams of an emperor for the ages, quietly tells the story of that magnificent era, luring countless people to explore and decipher its secrets. For thousands of years, the magnificent Terracotta Army seemed to be lost in the annals of history, with no mention of it in any records. Legend has it that with a single command from Emperor Qin Shi Huang, The craftsmen painstakingly carved and replicated these world-famous terracotta figures based on the most powerful army of the Qin state at that time. But the Terracotta Army is no ordinary burial item. Its origin is a reflection of a cruel practice, the human sacrifice system. The human sacrifice system, a grotesque by-product of ancient Chinese slave society, was shockingly brutal. Back then, when princes and nobles passed away and were buried, they would choose those close to them to be buried alive with them. There was no clear written rule on the number of sacrifices each time, but there was an unspoken understanding. The higher one's status, the more people would be selected for sacrifice. For generals and high-ranking officials, the number of sacrifices could range from just a few to dozens. For an emperor, the scale of sacrifice was truly horrifying, with numbers ranging from dozens to hundreds. Among these unfortunate victims were loyal ministers who had served their entire lives, beloved servants who attended to their daily needs, and in some cases, even their own children. In the Yinshu Mausoleum in Anyang, Henan Province, among the dozens of large tombs that have been excavated, the number of sacrificial victims reached as high as 5,000. What's even more heart-wrenching is that, with very few exceptions, the vast majority of these people were forced to their deaths under duress. They were either buried alive or killed for the purpose of sacrifice. This inhumane burial custom endured for over 1,000 years, marking a dark and lamentable chapter in human history that's hard to bear witness to. The records of the grand historian has lifted a corner of the veil on this mysterious past. Under the meticulous planning and design of Prime Minister Li Si, Emperor Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum gradually took shape. Emperor Qin Shi Huang, a truly remarkable figure in history, had a different vision for his burial compared to previous rulers. He abandoned the traditional practice of using his servants, loyal ministers, and palace maids as sacrifices. Instead, he decided to create the magnificent Terracotta Army based on his own army that had conquered the 6 states through countless battles. On the surface, this was a step towards civilization, replacing living people with terracotta figures. However, the shadow of the human sacrifice system still loomed large. But fate can be cruel. Emperor Qin Shi Huang could never have imagined that after his death, he would become the emperor with the largest number of sacrifices in history. His successor, Emperor Qin Shi Huai, showed extreme brutality after Qin Shi Huang's passing. Huai ordered that all the palace maids, including Qin Shi Huang's own children, must be buried with the emperor. These women, who had little control over their lives in the imperial palace, were now doomed to accompany the deceased emperor in death. It was truly a tragic situation. Moreover, to keep the secret of the entrance to the underground palace of the mausoleum, all the laborers who had worked on the secret passage were brutally killed. The methods used, beheading, sacrificing, and burying alive, were extremely cruel, and as many as tens of thousands of people lost their lives. All in all, the number of people sacrificed for Emperor Qin Shi Huang was estimated to be between 50,000 and 60,000. Through in-depth research by archaeologists, it was discovered that all the terracotta figures were handmade, not mass-produced using a unified mold. There are 8 common face shapes for these figures. Each craftsman would make detailed adjustments based on portraits of soldiers, aiming to make the terracotta figures look exactly like real soldiers. It's fair to say that each terracotta figure was modeled after a real Qin soldier, a perfect reproduction of the most elite troops of the Qin army. This undoubtedly showcases the superb craftsmanship of the Qin dynasty artisans. Among the cultural relics unearthed from the Qin dynasty, whether they are military weapons like swords, halberds, or items such as pottery, bamboo wares, bronze wares, and even building materials like bricks and tiles, the names of the craftsmen were engraved on them. This system not only significantly promoted the development of the Qin state's military industry, but also left a mark of the craftsmanship of ancient artisans. Thanks to this, the Qin state was able to produce numerous master craftsmen, and at that time, made in Qin was a by-word for the highest quality in the world. In front of each Qin army unit, there was a chariot leading the way. Chariots, which originated in the spring and autumn period, were gradually falling out of use with the rise of cavalry. However, from items like suspected drumsticks found on the chariots in the Terracotta Army, it's speculated that these chariots were used by the Qin army to mobilize troops and boost morale, rather than directly participating in battles. In actual combat, the chariots were protected by a large number of soldiers equipped with offensive weapons such as halberds. All the terracotta figures were made in strict accordance with the Qin army's establishment, including officers at all levels, various military branches, chariots, and horses. Their arrangement also conformed to the battle formations of the Qin army at that time. Moreover, whether they were infantry, cavalry, or charioteers, these soldiers were equipped with various crossbows. The arrows could reach targets from 150 to 900 meters away, designed to deal with different combat situations by attacking targets at various distances. It's easy to conclude that the Qin army at that time highly valued its crossbow-wielding troops, that is, the long-range attack capabilities of the army. Among the soldiers unearthed from the Terracotta Army, crossbow-wielding troops accounted for 60%. For an army of 10,000 people, if there were 4,000 shield-bearing soldiers, then there would be 6,000 crossbow-wielding soldiers. Just imagine when the enemy encountered the Qin army, before they could even engage in close combat, they would be faced with a hail of thousands of crossbow arrows. Their combat effectiveness would be halved even before the battle really started, and the scene would be terrifying. The Qin army's battle formations were carefully crafted, demonstrating a perfect combination of layering and defensiveness. At the beginning of a battle, lightly armed crossbowmen, as the vanguard, would use their flexible mobility and powerful long-range attack capabilities to disrupt the enemy's formation first, creating favorable conditions for the subsequent attack. Then, a large number of armored infantry with spears would form a solid square formation. They would advance with orderly steps and great momentum, like an impregnable wall, serving as the core of the Qin army's main attack. On both sides of the army, crossbowmen, archers, chariots, and cavalry units would cooperate with each other, forming a strong defense line. This not only effectively protected the flanks, but also allowed for encircling the enemy at critical moments, delivering a fatal blow and greatly enhancing the assault power of the entire formation. Qin army soldiers generally did not wear helmets, which was in sharp contrast to the equipment of soldiers in the Roman Empire at the same time. Considering that the cavalry mainly used bows and arrows as weapons and the tactical style of attacking from a distance first and then charging, it can be inferred that the Qin army mainly relied on long-range attacks and was skilled at high-speed mobile warfare. This tactic enabled the Qin army to wear down and strike the enemy from a distance, and then quickly break through the enemy's defense line with the high mobility of the cavalry, disrupting the enemy's deployment. The long-handled stabbing weapons such as halberds and spears, used by the infantry, mainly targeted the enemy's chest and abdomen. Therefore, most of the terracotta figures were equipped with breastplates. This not only shows the importance placed on protecting the chest and abdomen in close combat, but also reflects the Qin army's rigorous combat methods, efficient execution, and the close cooperation among soldiers on the battlefield. Since the probability of the head being struck during combat was relatively low, ordinary Qin soldiers chose to travel light, foregoing helmets to gain greater mobility and flexibility, better adapting to the complex and changeable battlefield environment. During the Warring States period, the bronze swords of the Qin state stood out with their exceptionally long blades, reaching 80 to 90 centimeters in length, far exceeding the typical 60 to 70 centimeters of swords from other states, and they were mass-produced for the army. This advantage of a little extra length means a little extra strength not only gave the Qin soldiers an edge in close combat but also demonstrated the Qin state's advanced technology in the metallurgical industry. The ability to produce swords of such length indicated that the Qin state had achieved precise material ratios and casting techniques, enabling them to manufacture high-quality, high-performance long-range weapons, providing a strong material guarantee for the Qin army on the battlefield. The unique military-industrial system of the Qin state was a powerful motivator for the soldiers' fighting spirit. In the Qin state, the more enemies a soldier killed, the higher the rank and rewards he would receive, and it could even change the fate of himself and his family. This incentive mechanism made every Qin soldier yearn for honor and wealth, driving them to fight bravely and fearlessly on the battlefield. Based on advanced weapons and efficient combat strategies, this system was like a catalyst, transforming the Qin army into a highly efficient political and military machine. In the process of unifying the 6 states, the Qin army demonstrated unparalleled combat power, eliminating a total of 1.6 million enemy troops, laying a solid military foundation for the unification of the Qin state. The 8,000 terracotta warriors unearthed from the Terracotta Army are all over 1.8 meters tall, which has drawn widespread attention. However, in reality, this does not represent the height of all Qin soldiers. These terracotta figures most likely represent the model troops of the Qin army, composed of the elite among the elite. The selection criteria were extremely strict, and height may have been one of the important factors. By creating these tall and imposing figures, the Qin state not only demonstrated the might and power of its elite troops, but also showed the world its strong military strength and spirit. Back in 2006, the Nuclear Physics Laboratory at Stanford University finally cracked a puzzle that had stumped scientists for over a decade. What exactly was the composition of the blue paint on the Terracotta Army? Take a look at the national flags around the world, and you'll notice that not a single one is blue. The reason? Many countries simply didn't have the know-how to synthesize blue pigments when they were founded. But hold on to your hats. As early as over 2,000 years ago, during China's Qin dynasty, this stunning blue paint had already graced the Terracotta Army, its vivid color leaving everyone in awe. Before the discovery of the Terracotta Army, the archaeological world was only familiar with 2 types of blue paint, Egyptian blue and Maya blue. Egyptian blue is made of calcium copper silicate, while Maya blue is a blend of resin and a certain type of clay. In 2000, Professor Heinz Burke from the Institute of Chemistry at the University of Zurich proposed that the Egyptian blue paint had made its way to China. But it didn't take long for this theory to be debunked. In 2006, Stanford University bombarded and analyzed a minuscule 50-micron piece of paint using high-intensity rays. The results were astonishing. The blue paint on the Terracotta Army contained barium copper silicate, which was completely different from the calcium copper silicate in Egyptian blue. What's more, lead monoxide was added to the paint, and this very ingredient made the blue color of the Terracotta Army so vibrant that it almost bordered on purple. That's why it was named Chinese purple. But with this discovery came a whole new set of questions. Both barium copper silicate and lead monoxide are superconducting elements. This begs the question, why on earth is the Terracotta Army linked to superconductivity? Could the Qin dynasty have mastered some mysterious technology that could bring the Terracotta Army back to life? That's quite a wild thought. Let's stick to the scientific facts. In the same year, the National High Magnetic Field Laboratory in the United States conducted an experiment. When they cooled Chinese purple, they were shocked to find that it suddenly transformed into a superconductor. Turns out, the superconducting material that scientists had been hunting for so desperately had been around for over 2,000 years. But here's the real head-scratcher: how on earth was this blue paint made? Could there have been professional chemists in the Qin dynasty? When experts used facial recognition technology to scan the 8,000 terracotta warriors, they stumbled upon an amazing secret. Anyone who has ever seen the Terracotta Army has probably wondered, were these figures modeled after real people? When the archaeological team first unearthed the Terracotta Army and saw these incredibly lifelike figures, they were so startled that they thought they had dug up actual humans. After the scanning and analysis, it was revealed that each terracotta warrior had unique facial features. It's highly likely that they were molded on site according to the real appearance of Qing dynasty soldiers. And considering that the terracotta warriors were brightly colored when first unearthed, it's no wonder people had the illusion of seeing real people. Among all the amazing things about the Terracotta Army, this blue paint stands out as the most mysterious. So, how was this blue paint with superconducting properties made? The answer is surprisingly related to jade. The Chinese have had a deep-seated love for jade since ancient times, believing that it's even more precious than gold and that it can preserve the soul. That's why we have world-famous artifacts like jade burial suits and jade coffins. Ancient alchemists were constantly trying to synthesize jade artificially. 200 years before Emperor Qin Shi Huang, they finally succeeded. The artificial material they created, colored glaze, was comparable to the finest jade. Colored glaze contains shell and lead. Based on this, experts speculate that the Chinese purple on the Terracotta Army was likely a by-product of making colored glaze. There's another puzzling phenomenon. Why have these paints remained intact after 2,000 years of being underground, but fade rapidly once the terracotta warriors are unearthed? This is actually similar to the principle of ancient Chinese porcelain. The porcelain unearthed from Mawangdui is still as bright and beautiful as if it had just been painted, even after over 2,000 years. There's an old saying, it can last 1,000 years when dry, 10,000 years when wet, but only half a year when neither dry nor wet. The terracotta warriors buried underground were in a wet environment. Once they were unearthed, the humidity conditions changed drastically. In just about 4 to 5 minutes, the water evaporated quickly, the paint molecules were damaged, and the paint started to crack and peel off. To this day, we still haven't found the perfect solution to preserve these precious paints. The Terracotta Army of Emperor Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum, this cultural treasure trove that has withstood the test of 1,000 years, never fails to amaze and inspire us with each new discovery. It's not just a magnificent testament to ancient civilization. It's an enduring monument to human intelligence and creativity. As we continue to dig deeper into its secrets in the years to come, there's no doubt that the Terracotta Army will reveal even more hidden historical mysteries that have been waiting to be unearthed.